Ladies and gentlemen, kindly stand up for the UniSey anthem. Minister, Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, First Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, Second Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, the Central Bank of Seychelles Board Director, Chairperson of UniSey Council, UniSey Council members, Vice Chancellor of the University of Seychelles, Registrar, UniSey Executive members, UniSey staff, associate lecturers, students, alumni, the Central Bank of Seychelles representatives, viewers following us virtually, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and welcome to the University of Seychelles. My name is Dolivia Chanko and I'll be your MC this morning. In 2016, the University of Seychelles started an annual event called the UniSey Anniversary Lecture to commemorate the opening of the university, which falls on the 17th of September. And this year, on its 12th anniversary, UniSey is hosting the 6th edition of the anniversary lecture. The lecture seeks to promote local scholars who are actively engaged in scholarly activities, in particular research or other prominent work that have national or regional impact. As has been the norm during this pandemic environment, this morning's lecture will be live streamed via UniSey's YouTube channel. I will now invite the convener, Ms. Joëlle Perrault, Vice Chancellor of UniSey, to present the speaker.
Minister Valentin, our former Vice Chancellor, and may I say the person who initiated this anniversary lecture, Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, First Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, Second Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, the Central Bank of Seychelles Board Director, Chairperson of UniSey Council, UniSey Council members, Registrar, UniSey executive members, UniSey staff, associate lecturers, students, alumni, the Central Bank of Seychelles representatives, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. We are very honored today to be hosting this 6th anniversary lecture, and I must say that when I invited the governor to do us the honors of doing this lecture for us today, she accepted very quickly. So thank you, Governor, for this. I am very honored and I feel privileged to read your bio today. Ms. Caroline Abel, the Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles. Ms. Abel was first appointed Governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, CBS, on 14th March 2012, becoming the first woman in Seychelles to hold the position. She was reappointed to serve a second 6-year term in March 2018. She is also the chairperson of the CBS board. Ms. Abel started her journey with the Central Bank in 1994 as a senior bank clerk. She was promoted to the role of research officer in the Research and Statistics Division in 1999, subsequently becoming a senior research officer and director of research in 2001 and 2002, respectively. Ms. Abel progressed to becoming head of the Research and Statistics Division in 2006, a position she held until her appointment as Deputy Governor in July 2010. She was appointed first Deputy Governor in December 2011, following an amendment to the CBS Act, which makes provision for 2 Deputy Governors, a post she held until her appointment as Governor in March 2012. As Governor, she also represents Seychelles as the alternate Governor for the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the African Development Bank, as well as Governor for the African Export-Import Bank. She is also Vice Chairperson of the African Financial Inclusion Policy Initiative, AFPI, a position she assumed in August 2020, serving a 2-year term. Ms. Abel holds a BA in Economics with distinction from the University of Leeds and a Master's in Philosophy and MPhil in Monetary Economics and Finance, graduating with distinction from the University of Glasgow. Throughout her 27-year career, Ms. Abel has received several accolades for her leadership roles and contribution towards the banking and financial sector, awards she has always dedicated to the CBS team and her family in recognition of their support. In July 2015, Ms. Abel received the African Female Public Servant of the Year Award by the African Leadership magazine, presented at the 6th African Business Leadership Forum and Awards. That same year, she was honored by US's Georgia Legislative Black Caucus with a Special Commendation Award. In August 2020, she was named Central Bank Governor of the Year by the African Banker Awards Committee, and in December of that same year, she was one of the recipients of the Africa's Women Leaders Awards. Aside of her role as governor and other responsibilities associated to the position, Ms. Abel is also the patron of the Red Cross Society of Seychelles since May 2017, a role which she accepted as the fundamental principles of the Red Cross tie in well with her passion for sharing her knowledge and providing a helping hand to those in need. And I must say that the UniSey is now very honored to be on this great list of achievements. And thank you for being part of our anniversary. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. May I now invite the Governor to deliver her lecture.
Minister, Deputy Governors of the Central Bank, Central Bank Director Professor O'Gara, Chairperson of UniSey Council, UniSey Council members, Vice Chancellor of UniSey, Registrar, UniSey executive members, UniSey staff, associate lecturers, students, alumni, Central Bank of Seychelles staff, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Central Bank, I would like to thank the University of Seychelles to give us the opportunity to deliver this year's anniversary lecture. In my expose, I would like to show how the Central Bank has grown from the Seychelles Monetary Authority to the institution it is today by virtue of the key theme of education. Over these past decades, the Central Bank has consistently nurtured its staff, students, and the general public by providing opportunities for personal development, both in terms of professional qualifications as well as the softer skills that are so often overlooked. My intention is not to deliver an academic lecture, but rather show how learning can happen at all levels through time when we have a conducive environment and how enriching it can be. Education has always been a subject that has been emphasized by numerous international figures, whether it is the scientific genius Albert Einstein or a revolutionary figure like Nelson Mandela. In some sense, one could say education has underpinned the evolution of mankind and will continue to do so in the years to come. In Seychelles, as we are all aware, people have always been at the center of the country's development, and hence, education has played a key role in every aspect of its evolution. Closer to home, the first chairman and governor of the Central Bank of Seychelles, Mr. Guy Morel, revolutionized the financial sector in the post-independence years, whilst also appreciating classical music, arts, and literature. He was a firm believer in education for everyone and took every opportunity to pass on his vast knowledge, be it formally or in an informal setting. In Seychelles, access to free education has been in place since 1981 and is compulsory up to the age of 16. Aside from primary and secondary levels, the Ministry of Education and its partners have over the years established a system that offers the opportunity to anybody who would like to improve their academic posture, polish their skills, or learn new ones through the various professional and training centers. Given the importance of education since at least 2018, a minimum of 10% of the annual budget has been apportioned for investment in education. These efforts have proven to be fruitful, as this has allowed the country to achieve a high Human Development Index, literacy rate of 95.4%, and net enrollment across all school levels of above 80%. Nevertheless, going forward, certain area of focus for education in the country pertains to achieving quality education, addressing skills mismatch, and responding to the emerging needs of the labor market as it evolves, and promote effective inclusiveness in education and lifelong learning for all segments of the population. The question that we may ask is, can the country deliver on these areas of focus? Whilst the CBS team was discussing this matter in preparation for the lecture, we felt that it was an opportune time to showcase the institution as an example of an educator to itself and to the wider community. By sharing our experience, we hope that it creates a new approach of how we can become more strategic as a country on the question of education. Let me start by providing a brief history of the central bank, a focal institution in the Seychelles economy, before talking about the education initiatives that have been fostered throughout the years. The central bank stance today is the culmination of the efforts of many people that have ensured the institution remains robust in its deliverables. Central banking in Seychelles started as far back as 1936 with the establishment of the Seychelles Currency Board, similar to other British colonies of the time. Almost 40 years later, the Seychelles Monetary Authority was formed in December 1978. The conversion of the Monetary Authority into a fully fledged central bank was achieved through a gradual process of evolution. Given that the Monetary Authority functioned very much like a central bank, only minor amendments to legislative framework turned into the Central Bank of Seychelles Act in 1982, which was approved by the National Assembly. On January 1st, 1983, the Central Bank of Seychelles was officially inaugurated and took over the functions and responsibilities of the Monetary Authority. The Central Bank building was officially opened in June 1994 by the incumbent president, Mr. Albert René. The ceremony was attended by numerous foreign dignitaries, from a number of international organizations, as well as high-ranking government officials. The guest of honor for the occasion was Mr. Sridhar Rampal, the then Secretary General of the Commonwealth. In December 2004, the National Assembly repealed the Central Bank of Seychelles Act 1982 and replaced it with the new Central Bank Act 2004, which formally bestowed the institution with a high degree of institutional and operational independence. This change strengthened the ability of the bank to act as an advisor to the government in an independent manner based on technical merits to ensure the proper functioning of the economy. The Central Bank Act was further revised to cater for the changes that came about through the reforms of 2008 to take on a new foreign exchange regime. In 2009, there were further changes in light that clear objectives of the bank had to be put in place, and we were given the prime objective of domestic price stability, followed by advising the government on banking and monetary and financial matters, including financial soundness of the financial system. When we talk about an institution, human resources is a key component that comes to mind. From the central bank, without it, we would not be where we are. And for this, we owe what we are to the foundations put in place by Mr. Guy. Born in Seychelles in October 1932, the journey of Mr. Morel was marked with numerous milestones celebrating his extraordinary talents. Having studied at the Seychelles College until 1950, Mr. Morel pursued his studies in accounting and graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce from the University of Melbourne. Mr. Morel is credited with revolutionizing central banking in Seychelles and is widely touted by his peers as being the most influential pioneer in the financial arena, especially in the post-independence years. In 1976, he commenced the modernization process of the currency board. His sound expertise in economics and financial principles was widely recognized and instrumental in the transformation of the Seychelles Monetary Authority. In January 1983, the Monetary Authority transitioned to the Central Bank of Seychelles, whereby Mr. Morel served as the first governor for the institution from December 1982 until mid-July 1981. In addition to his position as governor, he also served as the Secretary General of the Department of Finance and Industry and Principal Secretary for Finance. He was instrumental in setting up the Seychelles Development Bank and reviving the savings bank, which we know today as the Seychelles Commercial Bank. Mr. Morel was also involved in a number of parastatal entities. Convinced of the need for a qualified workforce, Mr. Morel instituted a scholarship scheme in the central bank to enable young individuals to obtain qualifications from universities overseas. Moreover, he set up a management institute in 1978 known as the Management Training Center, which evolved into the Seychelles Institute of Management. SIM was later renamed as the Guy Morel Institute in March 2014, which continues to commemorate his vision of a knowledge-based economy. In December 2011, a training room was set up in the central bank and was named after him to honor the contribution of this accomplished man in the advancement of central banking. Mr. Morel was also an enthusiast of classical music, literature, and arts. He was mastermind behind the Central Bank and National Library buildings, each with an express purpose of upholding the values of the institution epitomized. As the world continues to evolve and new challenges are being faced by countries, as evidenced by the pandemic, the institution needs to remain robust and continue to be one of the focal institutions in the economy. Therefore, it is imperative that the institution adapts to these new challenges, keep abreast of new developments in regional and international markets, which often requires the institution to modernize the way it functions. This thought process should not be restricted only to the central bank, but can also be adopted by the rest of the economy to adapt to changing circumstances and ensuring everyone assumes their respective responsibilities and move with the ever-changing tide. To constantly deliver, there needs to be continuous learning within the institution. The skills required for the financial sector is not limited to economists, accountants, bankers, but extend to other areas such as technology, legal, communication, marketing, and in recent times, the environment, as we call it, the green finance agenda. This goes to show that the financial sector has a place for all skills, and it is not confined to the traditional roles typically considered. In line with what has just been mentioned, the central bank has indeed evolved in the way it functions in line with the growth of the domestic economy and within the central banking community. In 1978, manual processes evolved using ledgers and NCR typewriter-style accounting machines. A few years later, in the 1980s, telex machines were used to send and receive authenticated payment messages. In line with rising prominence of the internet and computers, accounting softwares were used as of 1999. In an effort to facilitate electronic banking processes, the bank embarked on the standardization of checks and launched the Central Bank of Seychelles Immediate Transfer Service. Electronic banking processes were further cemented by the launching of the Central Bank Core Banking System in 2010. introduction of the credit information system and electronic clearinghouse in 2012. 1 year later, the Seychelles electronic fund transfer was launched, facilitating electronic transfer of funds between all banks and the credit union. On a regional level, joining the SADC real-time gross settlement system in 2016 facilitated cross-border payments. All of these improvements have shown how far the institution has progressed from its inception to where the institution stands currently. Apart from the operational modernization, the policies that the bank have also evolved with time. Monetary policy framework has transitioned from fixed exchange rate to an interest rate-based framework currently in place. Various forms of legislative adjustments have been made. Reserve money targeting has been changed into recent changes to the overall framework for a short-term interest rate baseline to influence the liquidity in the economy. In January 2019, we completed the transition to our current interest rate-based framework. And as we know today through the continuous press conference of monetary policy adjustment. As the economy evolves, the policies of the bank encapsulate other critical aspects such as financial stability, anti-money laundering, innovative financial services, and consumer protection, to name a few. Despite the above, the bank has also recognized that knowledge enhancement needs to move beyond the institution. Central banks around the world have become more transparent in recent years, moving away from the secrecy surrounding the institution and its activities. The central bank community has understood the importance of sharing information to the public so that they are well equipped to understand the action of the central bank, why it is implementing a policy, and what it aims to achieve by doing so. Any changes announced by the bank impacts everyone in the economy in one way or another. Therefore, properly communicating to the public on what it is doing or going to do so is important in ensuring the effectiveness of the changes. If the changes are not well understood, it can do undue harm. It has become increasingly evident that communication in various forms can help achieve collective action, whether it is to inform foreign exchange market dynamics, inflation expectation, and the status of the economy. Central bank communication can be interpreted as a form of public good. Information communicated by the bank should be accessible to all. Most central banks have understood this fact of disseminating information to the public and have implemented a clear communication strategy to do so. A good communication strategy increases the transparency of the institution and enhances accountability of the bank's actions, whilst raising the knowledge of various economic agents. These ultimately help all effectively shape expectations, which implies the agents react in a rational manner, especially as they would have been presented with adequate information. The central bank external engagements have taken many forms over the years. Anniversary lectures have always been a long-standing tradition of the bank, with each lecture focusing the pressing or emerging developments at the time. This practice has continued throughout the years and continues to provide a platform for experts from various fields to disseminate information to the audience. And today's event is an additional component to that endeavor. Since 2015, the anniversary lecture is held every 5 years to commemorate key anniversaries of the bank. In between, the bank holds symposiums to increase economic awareness and financial literacy. The aim of the symposium is to broaden the audience to include tertiary students in addition to the traditional experts in the field. Symposiums and exhibitions allow for more direct engagement with the public, as a series of presentations are delivered by various panelists, followed by open discussions. Similar to exhibitions, forums, roadshows provide the opportunity to gather opinions of the public on specific topics and for attendees to ask burning questions to staff in a personalized manner. Press conferences allows the bank to share information pertaining to policy changes, engagement with international organizations by using the fourth pillar of the economy, the media. In recent times, especially since the onset of the pandemic, more frequent live press conferences enable the institution to provide timely information to the public at a time of heightened uncertainty. Moving to a live press conference format allows the messages to be relayed as intended, rather than in a reduced format, which may often omit key messages. Moreover, questions posed by the journalists and the responses provided help shed more light on the topic of discussion. Live press conferences are also streamed on YouTube and available on radio stations, thereby widening the target audience. Radio and TV avenues are also alternate platforms used to interact with different segments of the population, such as the youth, listeners who can directly ask questions, as well as programs targeting a wider audience. Workshops allow for people to learn in an informal setting without the fear of prejudice. Staff are present to share knowledge in simple terms without the usual technical jargon that one may associate with such training. As instituted by Mr. Moel, the practice of offering training opportunities and continuous learning for the staff of the bank has persisted over the years. With reference to short-term training, courses and seminars are offered by various national, regional, and international organizations. To name a few, these include IMF, Africa Training Institute, EDX, which is an online platform, World Bank, Study Center in Guernsey, which is an affiliate of the Swiss Central Bank, and the Guy Morel Institute. Some of these courses do not come with a fee and can be availed at different times during the year. As for long-term training, staff can embark on undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. Over the last 10 years, 49 staff have benefited from long-term training, some physically in a university setting, and others via distance learning based on the circumstances of the staff. In an effort to develop leadership qualities and ensure continuity as part of our succession planning process, the bank introduced a second executive development program in 2020, whereby selected staff undergo training to acquire personal development skills and gain knowledge in other areas, which eventually will be used across various management levels. A mentoring component is also part of the program, which provides an independent support component for the staff to call upon. Staff within the institution also share knowledge, whereby training sessions are held within and across divisions in an effort for staff across all levels to remain aware of the various aspects of central banking as well as personal development skills. Training at the bank is a continuous process and proves to be useful when implemented in various situations. For instance, the pandemic propelled staff to think in unique and unconventional ways, whilst applying the skills acquired over the years, and this has helped improve productivity levels. In addition, numerous short-term capacity building events are also on offer, both on-site and off-site, and increasingly virtually. The central bank is also viewed as a training ground in the field of finance. Over the years, many young and mature professionals have moved through its doors, and today they are contributing in various areas of the economy. As example, Ms. Jennifer Moel, currently the CEO of SACOS, was formerly a deputy governor. Minister Nadia Hassan, the Minister for Finance, Economic Planning and Trade, was formerly the head of Financial Surveillance Division. Mr. Jean Willing, the MD of Corvina Investment, was a general manager. Mr. Davis Laporte, who is currently the Chief Investment Officer at the Seychelles Pension Fund, was formerly a senior financial and risk analyst. Mr. Francis Lebon, currently the CEO of Fair Trading Commission, was formerly a senior domestic debt officer. And Ms. Sarah Lloyd, currently the Chief Risk Officer at ABSA Bank, was formerly a senior financial stability analyst. The Guy Morel High Achievement Scholarship has been set up to offer 2 fully sponsored scholarships annually, and is our external contribution to the development of professionals for the economy. The fundamental principle in awarding the scholarship is for the bank to continue to contribute to the training of high-achieving Seychellois citizens in areas specific to the financial services sector, so as to further develop specialized skills to support the long-term growth of the financial services industry. The scholarship provides an avenue to develop a pool of specialists in specific areas within the financial field. Some examples of areas that have been pursued by our recipients are in business management, specializing in financial management, forensic accounting, banking and finance, and Masters of Laws, specializing in governance, risk management, and compliance. Further knowledge-based initiatives undertaken by the bank are linked to the Financial Sector Development Implementation Plan, which has as purpose to strengthen and modernize the financial sector. Of the priorities identified were the introduction of a consumer protection framework in the financial sector and a clear financial literacy strategy. The plan recommended that the central bank should take the lead on these initiatives. As such, the bank and the Financial Services Authority commissioned a national financial literacy baseline in 2016 and the development of a national financial education strategy. The strategy was launched in December 2017 with a 3-year implementation plan. It provides a framework for the implementation of a coordinated and targeted approach to financial education. Our expectation is to improve the population financial capability and encourage responsible financial practices in the economy. The strategy targets 4 main segments: adults in the formal workplace, owners and employees of micro, small and medium enterprises, including farmers and fishermen, the youth, and the socially and financially vulnerable persons. 2 objectives of the steering committee, who has the responsible oversight over the strategy for implementation of the plan, pertains to setting the strategic direction and overall responsibility for the implementation and annual review, in addition to providing policy support and placing financial education on the national agenda. The committee comprised of the main ministries responsible for the strategy, as well as the private sector and civil society. Financial education is the process through which an individual level of financial capability is improved, though exposure and access to training and objective information and advice. The benefits of financial education are therefore far-reaching and can have a positive impact beyond the individuals targeted. For consumers and individuals, it can enable them to make better informed decisions and be better able to identify fraudulent practices. At an institutional level, it can result in an increase in the uptake of appropriate products and decrease in product cancellation, debt stress, and repayment failure. This can ultimately reduce risk for institutions. By sector level, as financial capability increases within an industry, competition is encouraged and helps mitigate unscrupulous financial service providers. And at a macro level, strong financial sectors and people capable of managing, protecting, and growing their assets will ultimately support overall macroeconomic stability and growth. Since 2017, the strategy has laid the groundwork for the way in which the financial sector interacts with different groups of the population, taking into consideration the specificities of each segment. We have seen a growing interest from the general public to understand the different elements of the economy, especially given the current economic challenges and the numerous initiatives being undertaken by local authorities. Furthermore, an increase in the uptake and usage of digital financial services has been observed, especially in response to the pandemic. Social media has offered another avenue to gauge reaction and queries from the public through the Financial Education Facebook and Instagram page. Over the period, we have noticed increased participation in workshops and other related initiatives. Looking ahead, a second financial capability survey will encompass the aspect of digital financial literacy or technology digital financial services as the country develops its digital economy agenda. The result of the survey will assist in the formulation of a new strategy for financial education. A comprehensive monitoring and evaluation framework would be formulated to take further stock of the existing strategy and improve on the overall financial education initiatives and the development in the local financial sector. The youth is an important segment as their financial capability influences the well-being of future generations. Good financial habits are formed early on, and as adopters of changing technology, they can help fast-track its adoption by older age groups. Additionally, the youth is more inclined to learn from each other rather than from older relatives and teachers. As such, youth are ideally placed to disseminate financial knowledge, especially as they would already be enrolled in some form of education institution. The first group of financial education youth ambassadors consists of 43 young people aged between 16 and 30 years. The program aims to maximize P2P learning and advocacy on financial education amongst the youth. It comprises of two main segments, notably a knowledge program to introduce the participants with Seychelles financial system, as well as a skills program to assist them in developing soft skills such as effective communication and PE counseling. The bank believes in being inclusive and engaging with all segments of the population in order to ensure that everyone, irrespective of their circumstances, is empowered to make their own financial transaction and participate actively in the economy, the bank and the NGO UN Youth Seychelles co-hosted a financial education workshop for a group of hearing-impaired participants as part of the activities of Global Money Week 2021. Through the main presentation, the focus was on managing one's financial well-being and developing healthy financial habits. Topics of interest covered including the definition of money, the importance of setting financial goals, the need and ways to budget, and the importance of saving and investing. The central bank informed on its role, the institutions that fall under its regulatory purview, and the various products and services offered by the banks. We also had an interactive session on getting to know the different denominations that makes up the current family of notes and coins, including the basic security features of the notes. Through the assistance of the chairperson of the Association for People with Hearing Impairment, acting as the sign language interpreter, the participants also asked questions and shared their challenges encountered when accessing financial services and products, putting forth some proposals that would enhance their experience. Adults in the formal workplace represents around 40% of the adult population. As individuals, we contribute towards the economic growth of the country. They must also be aware of how policies affect them as individuals, now and also in the future. When adults are able to make financially sound decisions, they are also able to pass on the wisdom to their children or even their parents. Hence, they can bridge the intergenerational gap when it comes to financial education. This year, multiple online sessions are available for adults in employment to broaden their knowledge on policies, financial products and services, investment, consumer rights, and fraud. This will help with their own financial planning when it comes to investing and savings, which will ultimately ensure adequate retirement planning. The contribution of small businesses is a critical engine of growth, since they account for a large percentage of the private sector and contribute towards job creation and economic development. The Central Bank hosted last week a 3-day workshop to enhance the financial education of small entrepreneurs in collaboration with local and international stakeholders, notably the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the Department of Entrepreneurship and Industry, the Enterprise Seychelles Agency, the School of Business Studies and Accounting, Development Bank, and the ABSA Bank. The agenda covered a range of financial and business-related topics to provide participants with knowledge and understanding of various available services and support, as well as tools that they can use to better manage their businesses. Topics such as business innovation and e-commerce, budgeting and forecasting, basic understanding of QuickBooks, credit facilities for MSMEs, amongst others. As we would have observed, the responsibilities of the bank go beyond just being a regulator and policymaker. The bank is clearly and should also be seen as an educator within and beyond itself for the empowerment of various economic agents, from individuals, businesses, and government, so they can better participate in the economy. It is always important to be looking ahead and to prepare ourselves for what is to come in the future. An accumulation of knowledge is very important in that journey. This is why the bank called on the public in 2018 to display their perception of the institution going forward through a logo competition. The chosen CBS 40th anniversary logo represents the steadfast nature of the institution in delivering its mandate. The turtle is going through the circle in an upward propelling movement to the surface, and this represents changes and productivity, while the circle is a timeline from the beginning until now. Constantly tested by forces of nature, the sea turtle remains focused and unraveling in what needs to be done. This can be applied to the institution and how it has been one of the beacons of output and technical expertise. Additionally, productivity and quality of work are facets that are always emphasized in the deliverables of staff. The central bank is calling, therefore, on the whole economy, from the government to the business community, to embody the values of continuous learning, productivity, quality of work, steadfastness in the manner in which work is delivered. Ultimately, the economy will benefit from our collective action. We are gratified with the recent cabinet approval for financial education to be included in the national school curricula, given the increasing need to incorporate good money management skills at a young age. Enhancing levels of financial capability for children will have far-reaching consequences for the well-being of future generations. Potential focus areas include basic economic literacy, entrepreneurship, regular savings, budgeting, and setting short-term and long-term financial goals. Continued sharing of knowledge by financial professionals can help bridge the gap. One such example is evident by the ongoing collaboration where central bank staff and other professionals teach on part-time basis at the University of Seychelles. Current and future generations will need to be able to maneuver actual and emerging issues. The local economy will need to continue evolving in line with global developments, such as the COVID-19 recovery, cybersecurity, the digital agenda, income inequality, and even gender inequality, to name a few. Thus, the vision of the central bank is to enhance human resource capacity by upskilling and adapting to current circumstances, whilst also preparing for the future. It is this guiding principle that the bank continues to follow on a daily basis. And it is our sincere wish that the whole country moves forward on this path if we are to create prosperity for all. For individuals pursuing a university degree or anyone who is embarking on a knowledge-enhancing project, it is important to understand that you have a role to play in the economy. Taking inspiration from the central bank main logo, which depicts the hawksbill turtle, it is one of the oldest inhabitants of the Seychelles and continues to represent important virtues for everyone to practice. At the central bank, the staff constantly feel inspired and proud of the logo, which in turn guides us in the work that we have to do. As you embark on this journey, try your best to be productive by using the resources available and trust your instinct. These values, which have helped the central bank go through the last few decades, will also help you achieve an enriched journey. As you prepare for the journey ahead, here is some parting wisdom inspired by Mr. Guimauel's legacy and the impact on those around him. He was an ardent advocate for youth to be the engine of economic growth, and this is a sentiment that is still echoed by many people today. He hoped to achieve that by offering a plethora of education and training opportunities for those within and outside the institution. This was because he believed that empowering people with knowledge will ultimately make them good professionals, upstanding citizens, and feel complete as individuals. And with those lessons in mind, here is wishing everyone the very best for what is yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. To commemorate its 40th anniversary, the Central Bank curated this book to pen down the history of the institution. It serves as a reminder of how one of the focal institutions of the economy travels through ever-changing environments. It was envisaged that the book would serve as an inspiration for the generations to come. The following video gives a brief overview of the content of the book.
La Banque centrale Seychelles commémore son 40 ans d'existence en racontant son histoire. Une histoire qui retrace côté nous qui commencé et transformation au cours de 4 décennies qui nous trace ses mains pour plus l'accomplissement de mon année qui fait venir. En dirigeant avec les gouverneurs et membres, les passés et actuels. L'origine sur l'existence et la formation de l'autorité monétaire Seychelles, sa fondation qui dit après permet la Banque centrale Seychelles, pareil nous connaît aujourd'hui quand il bâtit. Un événement clé et l'accomplissement qui est très nombreux, beaucoup parmi ils sont bien documentés dans les médias nationaux. Un employé qui est plus grand atout à l'institution, bon avec plus dans le travail, raconte son parcours, l'expérience et partage un petit conseil avec bon qui est plus zen. Beaucoup de trésors ont été découverts qui démontrait diversité, l'esprit travail ensemble, dévouement et camaraderie dans le travail, les passés et actuels. Il est 40 ans marqué avec plusieurs défis. Mais aussi beaucoup d'accomplissements qui permettent de quitter l'avant avec l'enthousiasme et l'excitation. Si c'est les petits et l'institution, ils dépendent beaucoup de son histoire qui devrait tout le temps valoriser. Compte plus nos histoires de la Banque centrale Seychelles à travers sa livre commémoratif dédié envers les pionniers depuis sa qui met premier pied fondation et tous les autres qui nous donnent la main bâtie sur l'institution clé. La Banque centrale Seychelles est la Banque centrale modèle avec une mission pour contribuer envers le développement et croissance économique du pays.
And in the spirit of sharing knowledge, as has been echoed in the address by Governor Abel, the Central Bank will be donating a few copies of the commemorative book to be added to the university's library. Before we present to the university, may I now invite the governor to come forward for the donation. I would call upon the Minister of Education, Dr. Justin Valentin, to come forward to accept this donation from the governor. Thank you, Minister. May I ask the Governor to stay at the front, please, for the next donation. May I call upon the Vice Chancellor of the University to come forward to accept the donation. And on behalf of the University, the Vice Chancellor will present to the Governor a gift. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. This year, as UniSey celebrates its 12th anniversary, we had originally planned to host a physical exhibition, but with the current pandemic and health regulations in place, this could not happen. However, we prepared a short digital presentation of our past and present lectures and leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's event. On behalf of UniSey, I would like to extend our gratitude to all those who have made this event possible. The Central Bank of Seychelles Governor, thank you very much. The Minister for Education, Mad Creations, Toolbox, UniSey Council, staff, students, and all media houses present, thank you. To you all present, thank you for coming, and to those following us virtually across the world, thank you and have a pleasant day or evening from wherever you are. To our special guests from Central Bank, we would now like to invite you to join the Minister, UniSey Council, and executive members at the Uni Cafe for a refreshment. Thank you so much for coming. Have a pleasant day.